The year was 1951, and Manila, the Pearl of the Orient, a vibrant jewel of the Pacific, Quiapo, Divisoria, and Binondo, once thriving centers of commerce, were returning to life, though the scars of war were never far from sight, stalls overflowing with local produce, fish, and crafted goods. As night fell over Manila, an eerie silence descended upon the city. Fear lingered in the air, thick and oppressive. Whispers of missing women, strange shadows in the night, and blood left behind in alleys. The people of Manila spoke in hushed tones about a new terror, something that prayed not for money, but for blood. What began as whispers would soon become a nightmare, and it all started on Luna Street.
She was killed here, but there's no blood, none at all.
Authorities were baffled. Unlike typical homicide cases, there was little physical evidence, no clear suspects, and the victims seemed to have been killed in an almost surgical manner. Doctors who examined the bodies confirmed that significant amounts of blood were missing. This suggested that the killer might have had medical knowledge or was using some method to extract the blood efficiently. The victim was exsanguinated, completely drained. A witness claimed to have seen a tall, thin man wearing a long black coat near one of the crime scenes, but no one could identify him. The police rounded up known criminals and suspects, but there was no solid evidence to tie anyone to the murders. The police called it a mugging, but there was something missing, something critical. But Maria Lopez would not be the only one. The victims had no clear connection, but all had one thing in common. They were found completely drained of blood, with puncture wounds on their necks or wrists. Witness accounts surface. A street vendor describes seeing a tall, gaunt figure with glowing red eyes. Another man, drunk at the time, claims he saw something leap across rooftops, something that wasn't human. By the time the city realized the pattern, the fear had already set in. In a confidential police report, detectives debate whether to release details of the murders, but panic had already begun. Newspapers finally report the case. Vampire killer stalks Tondo streets. But was it really a killer? Or was there something darker lurking in the alleys of Luna Street? Some say the killings never truly stopped. As the body count on Luna Street rose, fear consumed Manila. But behind the growing hysteria lay a more terrifying possibility. Was this the work of a lone killer? Or was something darker lurking in the shadows, collecting blood for reasons beyond comprehension? In the chilling aftermath of Maria Lopez's death, fear seeped into the alleys of Manila. But beneath the city's uneasy silence, secrets stirred. Whispers that echoed from the shadows.
He took them at night. Always at night. The ones who walked alone.
My cousin, he saw something. Red eyes, but no one believed him. Now he's gone.
While the public believed in monsters, investigators searched for a more earthly evil, a predator that walked among them. Detective Enrique Salcedo pored over Maria's case file, his eyes tracing every detail with mounting frustration. The blood patterns, the mutilated body, the cryptic symbols. Nothing made sense. But tonight he wasn't alone. The flickering light overhead cast shadows that danced across the room. But in Detective Salcedo's mind, the shadows spoke of something far worse.
What am I missing? The patterns? They're too deliberate.
Their first suspect was Dr. Valerio Santero, a disgraced physician with a dark past. Dr. Santero was once a respected surgeon, but in 1947, he was stripped of his license after accusations of illegal medical experiments. Witnesses claimed they saw him buying large amounts of human blood from shady dealers in the medical black market. Rumors spread that he was obsessed with immortality through blood transfusions, experimenting on the poor and forgotten. His obsession with the occult led him down a dark path, one that intersected too closely with the Luna Street murders.
Blood binds the soul. The ancient ones demand sacrifice. The blood must be pure, fresh. Only then can the transformation begin.
When police finally raided his abandoned clinic, they found surgical instruments, decayed blood bags, and something worse. A chilling montage of rusted tools, glass jars filled with coagulated blood, and sketches of human anatomy. The air in his laboratory was thick with the scent of decay, the walls whispering secrets of a darkness long forgotten.
What kind of man keeps vials of human blood, and why?
The second suspect, Marcus Velasco, was a butcher by trade, but whispers in the market claimed he was something far more sinister. Velasco was known for collecting animal blood and talking about preserving essence. Some say he believed blood could trap a soul, a belief rooted in old folklore. A survivor of an attack claimed she saw Velasco following her moments before the assault.
I felt him behind me. I could feel his breath on my neck before everything went black.
But despite his disturbing obsession, Velasco had an alibi, or so he claimed. Marcus Velasco was a man with blood on his hands, literally and figuratively. His reputation as a butcher was overshadowed by darker rumors, whispers that tied him to the unspeakable. Then there was Jonas, a foreign sailor described by locals as unnatural. Jonas arrived in Manila in mid-1951, docking from an unnamed vessel. support workers reported seeing him wander the slums at night, speaking to beggars and prostitutes. His pale complexion and obsession with blood transfusions raised alarms when he was questioned by police.
They said, "Don't look back," but I did, and I saw it.
The mist clung to him, whispering tales of horrors that lurked just beyond the water's edge. Jonas had witnessed something he wished he hadn't, but his silence came at a price, one that weighed heavy on his soul.
He didn't look like the others. His skin, it was too pale, and his eyes, like they'd seen too much.
But before the police could investigate further, Jonas vanished without a trace. Teresa Santos, the sole survivor, held on to her story with trembling hands. But what she saw that night was something beyond comprehension.
I woke up, and he was there, hovering over me. His hands were ice cold, and his eyes.
Teresa's testimony was the closest the police ever got to the killer, but it wasn't enough.
She survived, but something tells me the killer won't make the same mistake again.
In an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, Detective Salcedo stumbled upon a grim discovery, symbols drawn in blood, whispering of ancient rituals and death. The suspects were questioned, but the blood collector was never caught, and somewhere in the heart of Manila's darkness, the predator watched, waiting for the next victim. Was the blood collector one of these men, or was something darker pulling the strings? In episode 3, we uncover the secret rituals and the dark cult that may have fed the vampire's hunger. Watch episode 3 soon.